This year's award celebrates the achievements of real change makers from different regions, from Kenya to Nicaragua, Nigeria, Philippines, and Tunisia. As we all know so well, empowering rural women is central to our work at IFAD because rural women and girls, including the indigenous women, are major contributors to the rural communities where we operate at IFAD. They make up a significant portion of the food producers, and they are central to providing water, fuel, and care. And these are key resources for good nutrition and food security. Women are also positive agents of change who contribute to the well-being of their families and the entire communities. Therefore, it is fitting to present the IFAD Gender Awards on October 15, the same day we celebrate the International Day for Rural Women and the social, economic, and political progress made by the 1.7 billion women and girls who live in rural settings. As we celebrate, however, we also call attention to the continued discrimination, marginalization, and oppression that rural women face on a daily basis. Gender inequality limits women's access to resources and opportunities. It does reduce their autonomy and their ability to make decisions about their own lives. As a consequence, their full potential as agent of positive change is too often unrealized. Women play a critical role in food systems across the world, in particular in low and middle income countries. As we begin to implement the outcomes of the Food Systems Summit, we must remember that an inclusive transformation of food systems is necessarily one that empowers and creates opportunities for rural women and girls. The projects recognized by this year's Gender Award provide concrete evidence that it is possible to change awareness, values, norms, and practices within communities. These 5 projects, one from each region, have made substantial contributions to gender equality and empowerment of rural women and girls. Together, they focus on 3 strategic objectives. First, to promote economic empowerment so that rural women have equal opportunities to participate in and benefit from profitable economic activities. Second, to ensure women and men have equal voices and influence in rural institutions and organizations. And third, to achieve a more equitable balance between women and men in terms of workloads and economic and social benefits. I would like to take this opportunity to offer my heartfelt congratulations to this year's winners. The Apatana Natural Resources Management Project in Kenyatta, the Value Chain Development Program in Nigeria, the Fish Coral in the Philippines, the Dry Corridor Rural Family Sustainable Development Project in Nicaragua, and the Agro-Pastoral Value Chain projects in the Governorate of Medellin in Tunisia. We are grateful to the work of these projects and their supporters, including the local and national governments of the corresponding countries. We all know the challenges before us are enormous. To succeed in addressing these challenges, we must first succeed in empowering women and achieving gender equality. The winning projects have shown us that this is possible. Now we need to do more to replicate these successes in rural communities across the whole world. As both the Gender Award and International Day of Women serve to remind us, altogether much progress has been made. However, there's still much work to be done. Thank you so much. Back to you, Ndaya.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It is always a pleasure to have you make a statement on this important day for a number of reasons. Not only you are committed, but you always have some very strong words to demonstrate your commitment to recognize the achievement, but also to call for more results because you're always interested in scale. So we take note. And with that, I would like to invite Mr. Donald Brown, IFAD's Associate Vice President for the Program Management Department, to celebrate the winners. Mr. Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ndaya, and good morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today to recognise the outstanding achievement of IFAD's projects in promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. As you all know, helping to unlock the immense potential of rural women to promote economic and social change is a cornerstone of IFAD's corporate mission and commitment. So we're here today to recognise the outstanding results and impact of 5 IFAD-supported projects that have helped to transform the lives of poor rural women, and in turn have helped to drive transformative change in rural communities. We had a total of 15 projects nominated for the awards this year. All of them have an extremely high standard, and the selection of the winners was no easy task for our awards committee, which was made up of representatives from different IFAD divisions and departments. So, first up, and I know what you've all been waiting for, the winner from the East and Southern Africa region is the Upper Tana Catchment Natural Resource Management Project in Kenya. Through this project, investments in renewable energy alternatives such as biogas digesters and improved cook stoves have led to a 60% reduction in wood fuel use and a 50% reduction in cooking times. Also, thanks to the introduction of the Gender Action Learning System, the project has transformed gender norms in communities, groups, and households. GAL's activities through the project have encouraged both women and men to reflect on social norms, gender discriminatory business practices, and other barriers that were holding back the achievement of positive and sustainable changes. So well done to that project.
Faith, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. My name is Faith Modoni Livingstone, the project coordinator for Upper Tana Natural Resources Management Project. Greetings from Kenya. Mr. President, I am here on behalf of all our project stakeholders who are so happy and excited and would have loved to participate in this 6th edition of the IFAD Gender Award 2021, as the world also marks the International Rural Women's Day. Mr. President, in Kenya, we believe that it takes a village to raise a child. Therefore, the award we are celebrating today is a result of concerted efforts by many stakeholders. Allow me, Mr. President, to appreciate you for your personal commitment and IFAD as a development partner in supplementing the government of Kenya's resources by investing in rural people through the Upper Tana Natural Resource Management Project. It is in rural areas of Kenya where over 80% of the population lives.
Excuse me.
1% of them being women,
Faith, just a moment, please. Excusez-moi, équipe Tunisie, vous pouvez éteindre votre micro, s'il vous plaît. Merci. I would ask anyone not speaking to turn off the microphone, please. Thank you. Faith, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you again. I said my name is Faith Modoni Livingstone, the project coordinator for Upper Tana Natural Resource Management Project. Greetings from Kenya. Mr. President, I am here on behalf of all our many project stakeholders who are so happy and excited and would have loved to participate in this 6th edition of the IFAD Gender Award 2021, as the award also marks the International Rural Women's Day. Mr. President, in Kenya, we believe that it takes a village to raise a child. Therefore, the award we are celebrating today is a result of concerted efforts by many stakeholders. Allow me, Mr. President, to appreciate you for your personal commitment and IFAD as a development partner in supplementing the government of Kenya's resources by investing in rural people through the Upper Tana Natural Resource Management Project. It is in rural areas of Kenya where over 80% of the population lives, with 51% of them being women and 60% being youth. It is here where poverty affects women and girls much more proportionately than boys and men. IFAD's policy on gender equality and women's empowerment is in the right direction towards rural poverty reduction. Mr. President, I also appreciate the government of Kenya for providing a enabling environment to implement the project. Additionally, I appreciate the project staff at all levels and other collaborators for their dedication and the flexibility in use of various methodologies and project activities in an effort to achieve gender equality and empowerment of women. Lastly but not least, I appreciate the rural communities, particularly the rural households that have embraced participatory household decision-making. For without this, incomes may increase, but without household participation, there will be growth without development. Asante sana. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We appreciate it.
Mr. Brown, for the next project, please.
Thank you, and thank you to Faith and all your team for that hard work. Okay, so moving on to the next project, I'd like to invite on screen our second winner, and that's for Latin America and the Caribbean. And the winner is the Nicaraguan Dry Corridor Rural Family Sustainable Development Project, NicaVida. So in an area affected by severe environmental degradation, this project is building rural families and indigenous peoples' resilience by promoting links between economic diversification, transformation of production systems, and environmental protection. Through the project, engagement of women and girls in project activities, including those from indigenous communities, has resulted in women getting greater access to assets, resources, and entrepreneurship opportunities. And the involvement of men within the household and the community-based organisation has been critical too. This has helped break down discriminatory customary practices, attitudes and behaviours, and built a constructive collaboration towards joint empowerment pathways. So again, congratulations for this award, so well deserved.
And now I would like to invite the Minister from Nicaragua for the thanking words. Madam Minister, you have the floor.
Gobierno de Nicaragua, del presidente comandante Daniel Ortega, de la vicepresidenta compañera Rosario Murillo y del pueblo nicaragüense en ocasión de tan importante evento, en donde se nos entrega el Premio de Equidad de Género FIDA 2021, otorgado al gobierno de Nicaragua por los logros obtenidos en el empoderamiento económico de las mujeres rurales a través de la implementación del proyecto Desarrollo Sostenible de los Medios de Vida de las Familias Rurales del Corredor Seco de Nicaragua. Quiero compartirles que Nicaragua cuenta con un modelo de gobierno centrado en el desarrollo humano y la lucha contra la pobreza, facilitado por un marco jurídico, institucional y de políticas públicas que reconoce los derechos de las familias a vivir bien, así como los derechos de nosotras las mujeres a la equidad y la igualdad de género. Este modelo ha permitido reducir la pobreza, pasando del 45.8% al 24.9% de la pobreza general y del 15.1% al 6.9% en la pobreza extrema. Asimismo, hemos logrado reducir la brecha de género, ubicando a Nicaragua en el 5º lugar en términos de equidad de género a nivel mundial, después de Islandia, de Noruega, de Suecia y de Finlandia, cumpliendo con criterios como oportunidades de trabajo, ingresos económicos, acceso a la educación, acceso a la salud y a la supervivencia, igualmente a la representación política. Desde el Ministerio de la Economía Familiar fortalecemos las capacidades de las familias productoras y emprendedoras. Las mujeres son el 70% de las protagonistas atendidas por este ministerio. En los últimos 6 años hemos capitalizado a más de $500,000 de mujeres con una inversión de 6.000 millones de córdobas. Eso es aproximadamente unos 160 millones de dólares. Con Nica Vida acompañamos a 30.000 familias rurales, de las cuales el 64% son hogares encabezados por mujeres. Las inversiones en las mujeres ascienden a 9.3 millones de dólares, lo que representa un 59% de la inversión total de Nica Vida. Destacar que el 62% de las mujeres ocupan cargos de dirección en las juntas directivas de sus comunidades, de las organizaciones que están ejecutando y desarrollando los planes familiares, los planes de negocio y los planes territoriales. En el componente de participación de las mujeres rurales, equidad de género, Nica Vida ha obtenido la máxima calificación que otorga el FIDA, que es 6 puntos. Además, destacar que el proyecto ocupa un 4º lugar en los 10 mejores proyectos del FIDA a nivel mundial. Felicitamos al FIDA por diseñar y financiar políticas, programas y proyectos encaminados al empoderamiento de las familias y de las mujeres. Destacamos los esfuerzos que como colectivo, como equipo de trabajo venimos desarrollando en esa dirección. Recibimos este premio en nombre del gobierno y del pueblo de Nicaragua, con el cual reafirmamos nuestro compromiso de seguir disminuyendo la brecha de género y seguir luchando contra la pobreza. Este premio se lo dedicamos con mucho cariño a las mujeres nicaragüenses y sobre todo a nosotras, las mujeres rurales, hoy en nuestro día. Un saludo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, señora la ministra. The next award goes to Western Central Africa. I would like to congratulate the team of the Value Chain Development Programme in Nigeria for winning this gender award. This project is being recognised for transforming the lives of thousands of rural women by helping them to become successful entrepreneurs. It has done this by modernising input systems and farming models to improve productivity and sustainability as part of an inclusive and gender-sensitive value chain strategy. This project has shown the crucial role that female entrepreneurs have to play in transforming food systems and has contributed to making these systems more equitable, inclusive and sustainable. Again, congratulations to the project for this award.
Nigeria, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, all. I wish to start my presentation by thanking the President of IFAD and his entire management staff for even allowing Nigeria to participate in the program in the first instance, and then for allowing Nigeria to add 3 additional states, thereby expanding the program and then having the rural women to a greater height. At this juncture, I also want to thank and appreciate the support and understanding BCDB has been getting from the country office of IFAD here in Nigeria for all their support and understanding. let me emphasize that the fact that myself, the National Program Coordinator, along with the head of the gender program here in the national office, Mr. Musa Dalun, both of us are men, but that does not stop us from going ahead to encourage women and young ladies to participate in agricultural aspect through the participating state. And I want to assure all that by this award, the program is going to be motivated, go out again, intensify our effort in diversifying our participation, encouraging more women and younger ladies to participate in agricultural production. At the same time, I want to thank and appreciate the efforts of my colleagues at the National Office for this great endeavor. It is really a welcome development. We want to assure all that years to come, we are going to replicate on this effort to ensure more award and more successes for the program. Thank you very much.
Congratulations again. Mr. Brown, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, and congratulations again, Nigeria. So our next winner from the Asia and Pacific region is the Fisheries, Coastal Resources and Livelihoods Project in the Philippines. This project builds fishing communities' capacity to sustainably manage fishery and coastal resources and to diversify their livelihoods with a particular focus on women. Through training and savings groups, the project has given women the know-how and capital needed to establish enterprises that take advantage of the broad range of economic opportunities across the fisheries sector, from capture to storage, processing and marketing. Also, through community consultations, the project has worked with both men and women to change decision-making dynamics and workload distribution within households and communities. So well done and congratulations to all those involved, and I look forward at some stage to visiting this project.
Now I'm inviting Jessica Munoz for her thanking words. Over to you.
Thank you. Greetings from the Philippines. I'm Jessica Munoz, National Project Coordinator of the Fisheries, Coastal Resources and Livelihood Project, or Fish Coral. Mr. President, on behalf of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources and the Department of Agriculture, we are honored to receive the 2021 edition of IFAD Gender Awards for the Asia Pacific region. It's a culmination of the project's multi-sectoral coordination and collaboration to empower women and promote gender equality. This is a fitting ceremony to celebrate International Rural Women's Day. This gender award is dedicated to the women who continuously strive to improve their economic well-being and become active participants on local governance in their respective communities. It is also dedicated to the men who recognize the role of women as partners in rural development. Here at home, we would like to extend our gratitude to the Women and People's Organization for their resourcefulness, resiliency, and tenacity in these trying times to aim for greater good despite challenges. The agencies and institutions that guided the women in their journey toward the attainment of their goals, and the private sectors that provide for necessary support and encouragement. We thank Mr. Alessandro Marini of IFAD Asia Pacific and the IFAD Philippines led by Mr. Jim Pactoran for the entire support they have given to Fish Coral. We commit to support our women beneficiaries so that they will continue to achieve more of their dreams and aspirations as empowered women in their communities. Again, thank you, Mr. President, and mabuhay from the Philippines.
Congratulations. Congratulations again. Now you have the floor.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Jessica, and well done again. So, last but definitely not least, I want to congratulate the winner of the Near East, North Africa and Europe region, the Agro-Pastoral Value Chains Project in Tunisia. This project has helped to make rural women more economically active by reducing barriers to accessing finance and increasing their voice in decision-making. By investing in improving women's access to financial products and enhancing their decision-making power in grassroots organisations, the project has allowed women to take advantage of business opportunities and become financially independent. Thanks to efforts to increase their voice, women are also now in a position to defend their interests and those of their families in local decision-making. So congratulations for this award, well deserved.
And now I would like to invite Salma Jaoulaï for her thanking remarks. Over to you.
Merci. Merci, bonjour. Je m'appelle Salma Jaoulaï, je suis la coordinatrice du projet Prodifil Médine. Mesdames, Messieurs, Monsieur le Président d'IFAD, Mesdames, Messieurs les invités d'honneur, nous sommes aujourd'hui très heureux d'avoir obtenu ce prix qui vient couronner les efforts investis par l'équipe de projet de développement agropastoral et des filières associées dans le gouvernorat de Médine. Je tiens tout d'abord à féliciter et remercier nos partenaires femmes. Je dis nos partenaires et non pas nos bénéficiaires parce qu'elles étaient tout au long de l'exécution du projet des parties prenantes à part entière. Sans vous, mesdames, et votre effort et votre dévouement, on ne serait pas là où nous sommes aujourd'hui. Et ce n'est pas étonnant venant de la femme tunisienne, descendante de Didon la carthaginoise et de Dia la berbère. Si le projet est couronné aujourd'hui, c'est bien grâce à vous. Je tiens également à remercier et féliciter l'équipe de projet Prodifil, l'équipe de l'assistance technique, l'équipe de CRDA de Médine. Ce prix revient à vous tous, grâce à vos efforts déployés sans relâche. Je remercie aussi le ministère de l'Agriculture, la DGFIOP, qui étaient toujours là pour nous appuyer et faciliter l'exécution des projets. Et enfin, je tiens à remercier de tout mon cœur le FIDA et l'Union européenne, tout d'abord pour le financement et la confiance accordée, mais aussi pour l'appui continu. Et là, je tiens à remercier tout particulièrement M. Philippe Rémy, qui a toujours suivi de près l'exécution du projet. Et à chaque fois où on a eu besoin d'un conseil, d'un ajustement ou d'un financement supplémentaire pour les actions destinées aux femmes, il était là pour nous appuyer. Monsieur Zine El-Abidine Al-Roudi, qui, Inch'Allah, il me pardonne parce que je l'appelle presque tous les jours pour demander conseil. Merci, Sir Roudi, pour ta disponibilité et ton professionnalisme. Merci aussi à M. Dinereis, l'attaché de coopération à l'Union européenne Tunisie, pour votre appui continu au projet. Merci à vous tous et c'est grâce à vous qu'on est champion aujourd'hui. Merci.
Thank you very much. And again, congratulations to all of the projects that have been recognized today. And a special thank to Donald Brown, the Associate Vice President for Program Management Department, for personally recognizing these projects across the 5 regions. And now I would like to invite us to sit back a little bit and enjoy a nice video that would provide some highlights on those 5 projects recognized today.
Africans wanaambiri shamba ni ya wanaume na si ya wanawake. Sasa kuchange from that position ilikuwa kwake ni ngumu sana. Sasa na alikuwa naona
ndio tufikie hii kitu iweza. Sasa kukiwa na jua, hii matunda ina sasa iwezi.
As time went on, alikuja kuelewa na tukaongea kwa pamoja na tukaweza kuwa tuna make decision kwa pamoja.
Y nosotros íbamos a trabajar, pero no tenemos tomado en cuenta el trabajo que hacíamos, pero hoy sí, son retomados en cuenta los trabajos que hacemos.
ممكن تبدا كلمه يبدا ما عنديش الموايان عندك ما تعمل معناها في الحق تبدا تنقصك برشا معناتها الفلوس هو قوام الاعمال. المشروع هذا يمثل لي هكا ريتك البيبي الكبير اللي يتحلل لي.
Tungod dito niya mga bulig, may adadaman gimbaguhan hanamon. Urog na nga kami nga mga kababayan nga hadi na kada lahabalay naguhulat lahan. Makabuhin asawa, yan na na-educate kami, natatagang kamihin, nagkakamay ada namon kusog.
They are women. I went through what they were going through now, so I had that feeling. I'm thinking of how do I help them to come up with their problem. That is my mission.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, the communication team from the 5 projects, as well as IFAD's communication team for putting together this very nice clip. And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. So now it's time to move to the next segment of our program and have a conversation with the general focal points of the 5 projects that I recognize today. I then invite our panelists to turn on their videos, so I will introduce them in turn. So I would like to introduce you to Joyce Matenge from the Upper Tana Catchment Natural Resource Management Project in Kenya. Rosa Rugama, representing the Nicaraguan Dry Corridor Rural Family Sustainable Development Project. Then Musa Dalang for the Value Chain Development Project in Nigeria. Rines Lisiges from the Philippines for the Fishery, Coastal Resources and Livelihood Project. And finally, Mali Wajena for the Agropastoral Value Chain Project in Tunisia. So once again, welcome to everyone. So let me start with you, Joyce, and let's go right down to it. What are some of the challenges that the project had to overcome to close the gender gap and achieve the results bringing you here today?
Thank you, Daya. Thank you, all panelists, Mr. President. Thank you very much. And let me share our experiences in overcoming some of the challenges that we have tried to overcome. Number one, the challenge of inaccess to land by our beneficiaries and especially women. it was a challenge that we have tried to overcome by ensuring that men come on board to understand the essence of women becoming part and parcel of decision making in access of the land, in utilization, and in decision making of what they are going to do the land. So having a conversation with the men and women about improving access to land to ensure there is gender equity and to bridge the gender disparity is one of the ways that we have been able to overcome that challenge. The other challenge that we were faced with as a project is the challenge of having women take a long time to go and get household water. They took a long time to go. They used many hours and distance. And therefore, as a project, we also required the women to participate in project interventions. And therefore, we were able to come up with the gender-friendly interventions, which are solar-powered and have a friendly technology where women now and the whole household can access water quickly. So the time saved by the household, including the women, they have been able to go and do some economic activity to promote the well-being of the household. The other activity is the cooking conditions of our women. We realized that they were using the traditional 3 cooking stoves that are a hazard to their health. And therefore, when we were posed with the challenge of women failing to come to our meetings, and we established that it is due to some of these challenges, the project took an innovation decision and promoted friendly cooking stoves where women now are able to cook quickly and even save time. It is clean, so their health and that of their families is well catered for. This has promoted the men and other members of the household to participate in making meals of the families, and therefore there is co-sharing of the household responsibilities. The other challenge that we were faced with is having women miss in participation in decision-making of the structures that we have, water projects, and therefore, when women failed to participate in decision-making, it was very clear that we will have an unbalanced way of making decisions. And therefore, we did make a deliberate effort to ensure women became part of decision-making organ by instituting the 1/3 gender rule of our constitution, and also sharing with the men and the rest of the community the importance of having women come on board to make decisions of the institutions and initiatives that the project is undertaking. And therefore, we have had now 45% of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to, for you to save a few of points to comment later, so we have enough time to also bring the other panelists in the conversation. And I would also like to remind our audience to pose a question in the Q&A, and then we will take them after we have at least done a first round of questions with our panelists. Now, I would like to invite Musa Dalang from Nigeria, because in Nigeria, we are talking about two productive and value chains where the representation of women is particularly difficult, and I'm talking about rice and cassava. And so the question for you then is, how did you work, or what did you do specifically to ensure that those value chains are inclusive and gender sensitive, and in particular to encourage women to participate in the higher value segment of that value chain? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Our project, like you said, we're developing the value chains of rice and cassava. In Nigeria, like in most African societies, women and youth do not have access to land to produce. So in this case, most women were excluded from the production chain. In our bid to bring up women to produce and get empowered, what we did was to embark on advocacies and sensitization to traditional rulers who are the custodians of land. And by this, we succeeded in getting land. We developed parcels and shared out to women. As I speak, the land we developed, out of the land we developed, over 35% of this land is now utilized by women who are producing cassava or rice. And with this, they get empowered. We also have introduced gender-friendly technologies to our women who are processing rice and cassava products. In this case, we support them with equipment that are gender-friendly, they save time, they reduce drudgery, they increase incomes, and with this, we have our women today producing high-quality rice and various products of cassava, which are certified by the regulatory agencies, and they are being mainstreamed to the formal marketing system where these women get good incomes. We also ensure that using the girls' methodology, we try to have the men sensitized to allow their women, to be involved in decision-making at the household level. And this has helped significantly because the women now have voice in their families, they contribute to decision-making. The men appreciate the inputs of their wives. We also have sensitized the men to help their wives with household chores, to reduce the workload on them, to be able to have time and energy to dissipate in other activities, particularly income-generating activities. Empowering women in the area of leadership. We have tried to bring up women to take leadership positions in their farm organizations. As I speak, we have over 40% of women in leadership positions of the various farm organizations. And this has helped to bring up more women on board to participate in the program, to access the benefits that are provided by the program. The girls' methodology has helped significantly to have women own assets. It has also helped to have men reduce their wasteful lifestyles and redirect such funds to useful ventures for the households. The girls' methodology has also helped to have men to improve their budgets to the household for improved nutrition, and so is dietary diversity amongst most households because men are supporting the nutrition budget for the household.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to save your thoughts, and then so you can complement with the second round of question. And then we see already some commonality with the first project from Kenya, where we see that there is an intervention at the household, of course, but also there is some effort that is made to promote or to provide financing for some activities, and in particular of Nigeria, to allow women to also invest in equipment to be more productive on the processing side. At this point, I would like to invite Rosa Rugama and ask her, in the context of the project in Nicaragua, which activities or approaches were most successful to address the underlying causes of inequalities. Over to you.
Buenos días desde Nicaragua, saludamos y nos sentimos honrados y orgullosos de participar en este evento dedicado al Día Internacional de la Mujer. En primer lugar, nuestro proyecto de Nica Vida, que llevamos a través del Ministerio de Economía Familiar, tiene una meta de 30,000 familias, de las cuales el 64% de las que están participando son mujeres. Dentro de los enfoques exitosos que tiene nuestro proyecto, tiene que ver con las políticas y estrategias que nuestro Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional está promoviendo e implementando. Entre ellos podemos hablar de los enfoques de restitución de derechos para mujeres y para hombres y para todos los miembros de las familias de nuestro país. Hablamos también del enfoque de inclusión social, que tiene que ver con todas las mujeres, los hombres, los jóvenes, los pueblos indígenas, las personas con discapacidad. Otro enfoque exitoso es el enfoque de la equidad de género, los enfoques generacionales, porque también trabajamos con mujeres y hombres jóvenes para continuar los procesos de desarrollo. Es importante destacar también que el marco jurídico normativo que existe en nuestro país tiene que ver con la aplicación de leyes, ¿verdad? Como la ley 648, la ley de igualdad de derechos y oportunidades que impulsa el Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional de Nicaragua. Tenemos también los enfoques de derechos humanos y el enfoque de combate a la pobreza, que es donde como país nos hemos estado concentrando. Y dentro de ello, los procesos de participación y de empoderamiento que las mujeres rurales han venido desarrollando. Y de manera muy particular en este proyecto de desarrollo sostenible de los medios de vida del corredor seco de Nicaragua, con el cual estamos apuntando a 3 grandes ejes en el marco de combatir la pobreza. Uno, que es el mejoramiento de la dieta alimenticia y la nutrición familiar. 2, que es la generación de ingresos económicos en la familia. Y tercero, que estamos contribuyendo a lo que es el buen manejo del medio ambiente y el cambio climático. Dentro de ello estamos trabajando con los enfoques de las dimensiones de género y los aportes que las mujeres rurales están realizando en los procesos productivos y en los procesos económicos para el desarrollo del país. Y esto lo estamos llevando a cabo en 8 departamentos de nuestro país, estamos hablando del 50% de nuestro país, en 37 municipios, y estamos trabajando con la integración a través de instrumentos y herramientas como son planes familiares, planes de negocio, planes territoriales, donde las mujeres representan una participación del 64% y la participación en espacios de toma de decisiones con voz, participación y beneficio para ella y su familia.
Thank you very much. You did actually highlight a really holistic approach to gender equality and women's empowerment. In particular, what you stress is the legal and regulatory environment and some complementary approach looking at activities or approach for climate change, including also the focus on the provision of nutritious food. And I think it's important that to realize that all together, all of those approaches together, that's what also contribute to social inclusion, because you did mention that it was also an element that was very important. What I also noted was the focus on human rights and poverty reduction. So thank you so much for that. I would like now to invite the Philippines really and ask, so the Philippines is also a value chain project, right? We're focusing on fisheries. So what are some of the measures or actions that work, and probably maybe to highlight some of the differences with the activities from Nigeria, what are some measures that were implemented by the project to make the value chains inclusive and gender sensitive? Over to you.
Thanks for that, Indaya.
Yes,
okay, good evening to each and every one of the participants. Okay, so this is the Fish Coral Project, and one of the strategies that we basically did in order for our interventions to be gender sensitive and then inclusive is to conduct a thorough assessment of what the community needs. Basically, it's not a walk in the park, since for the longest time, the fisheries sector here in the Philippines is actually male dominated. And at the start of the project, we had a hard time encouraging women to participate and basically become a leader at that note. So we conduct a, hi, I received a message that the volume is low.
Can you try now? Because I can hear you okay. Can you try again?
Okay. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so the first thing that we did is to conduct a thorough assessment of the community. The project design of our project is not actually on value chains or enterprise development, but when we conducted our assessment, it came out during our assessment that that is the need of the community. So we have to adjust our intervention basically. And then we really tried to make our interventions become gender inclusive. Okay, so we started with a lot of advocacies, raising awareness to give equal opportunity to men and women to participate, and then also to empower men, to empower women to participate in our interventions. Okay, so it's not really a walk in the park. So what we really watched out is to really encourage women to become leaders. So right now we are at our 42% of our fishing organizations that became leaders of their enterprises out of the 8,322 fisher folk members and leaders. And then so we empowered these women, we empowered rural women so that they could lead their enterprises. And also, we did not just focus on developing them to lead their enterprises, but we also encourage them to participate even more on the coastal resource management, because this is also a component of our project. And in order for the intervention or their enterprises to become sustainable, we also have to take good care of our environment or our coastal resources. So we also empower them into doing that, because there's a common notion that the coastal resource management could only be done by men. But right now, there are already women who are taking the lead into law enforcement and also in the Fishery Advisory Council of the fishery sector in our areas. And then we also conducted a series of training on value chain, gender sensitive value chains. For the project beneficiaries, they do not belong right now to low skilled and low paid segments of the value chain, but they are now the main actors of the value chain. So right now we are working in different value chains. So we are working on seaweeds and seaweed processing, fish culture, and then also processing, mangrove crab culture, and also processing of these mangrove crabs. And then another high-end commodity that we're working on is the lobster industry. So these are basically the things that we did. As what I've said earlier, it's not a walk in the park, and it's a very long process, because we really have to involve them, assess their needs, so that our intervention would be focused and targeted. I think that's it, Ndaya.
Thank you, Joyce. I think, Joy, what I hear you mention is that, and then, you know, particularly when I compare with some of the stories from the other colleagues, is that there is a commonality in what to do. However, the how is really context specific. And to really understand how to do so, an assessment is key. So thank you for sharing that. In particular, the fact that you were able to encourage and to give opportunities for women to participate in higher value chains. You know, I hear the lobster, the crab industry, and the crab value chain. I think that's telling for itself. So thank you for that. And then we'll come with the second round of questions. Now I would like to invite Mali Wedjane. Pour ça, je vais parler en français. Donc quelles sont les initiatives qui ont été mises en œuvre par le projet pour promouvoir l'autonomisation des femmes et surtout encourager l'égalité entre les hommes et les femmes et pour leur permettre de profiter de façon équitable dans le projet.
Bonjour. Pour promouvoir l'indépendance économique des femmes, le projet Prodifil intervient de trois principales façons. Le premier point, le Prodifil a facilité pour les femmes l'accès au financement. 552 femmes ont bénéficié directement par des activités génératrices de revenus et des microprojets, qui représentent 70% du nombre total de bénéficiaires des microprojets, d'un montant de 0,83 92 millions de dollars. L'accès au financement est exclusivement personnel et ne nécessite pas de titre pour les femmes. Le projet aussi a créé des activités génératrices de revenus exclusivement féminines, l'exemple d'élevage avicole, l'élevage de chèvres laitières ou la sériculture. 100% des bénéficiaires sont de femmes. Alors, il y a d'autres activités qui sont ouvertes paritairement aux femmes et aux hommes. Deuxième point, le projet a contribué au renforcement des capacités. Il y a des formations théoriques et pratiques avant et après l'installation du projet, avec un accompagnement rapproché. 1033 femmes ont été formées dans le cadre du projet Prodifil, ce qui permet aux femmes de maîtriser la conduite et la bonne gestion de leurs projets, d'acquérir de nouvelles techniques et d'améliorer les performances de leurs activités. Le troisième point, le projet a facilité encore l'accès au marché pour les femmes. Il a encouragé et a pris en charge la participation de femmes à plusieurs fois régionales et nationales. Ces événements ont permis et facilité par conséquent l'écoulement de leurs produits. De même, le Prodifil a contribué à l'installation de 2 plateformes de commercialisation de produits de terroir. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, je vois que vous avez bien respecté le temps. Donc, c'est très bien. Merci beaucoup. What I would like to do is really now to bring back a little bit some of the points that were raised before. It seems that, as I mentioned, that there is some commonalities, right, across projects. What I would like to do is probably first ask with Joyce from Kenya, whether there are any surprising outcome that you saw while you were implementing the project that you did not expect from the beginning. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, there's some outcomes that we were able to see that were not very explicit during the start of the project. For example, we did expect that actually community participation would be consistently be for both segments of the community, where men and women are expected to come to the meetings. But however, we did realize that only men used to come for the community participation meetings. And therefore, this outcome was a drawback to us because participation of all segments of the population was mandatory, and it is critical for sustainability and implementation of the interventions. So that outcome made us go back to the drawing board and establish the reasons what was keeping the women away. And we did realize that they had a lot of responsibilities at the household level. For example, if it was time for planting too, they were the ones who were planting, if it was time for weeding. And therefore, we were actually deliberately found out that we have to align our activities to the seasonal calendar of the community so that we can have the women participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Musa, I would like to ask the same question to you. Any surprising outcomes? Over to you.
We had some surprising outcomes. Number one, religion and culture constrains our women from coming out to participate in development projects. And so we did not know that we were going to have this outstanding pour out of women. When we sensitized the men quickly yielded and they were allowing the women to come out. And today we have almost 50% of the beneficiaries as women, which is very unusual. So it was a very surprising outcome to us that we have so many women come out like that, having the permission of their husbands, which he thought was not easy to have women come out to respond to development projects like this. So it was really surprising to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Joy from the Philippines.
Same question, Ndaya.
Yes. Any surprising outcomes?
Okay, so there are numerous surprising outcomes in our project intervention. Since the project is already ending, we already took some notes in the lessons that we have learned for the past 5 years in the project implementation. So I think the main surprising outcomes that I would like to mention is this is not a part of the original project design, but we did this because it came out during our assessment that there's a low financial literacy in the community. So we conducted a community-based savings mobilization club. So we established numerous savings mobilization club in our areas. And then what was surprising is that they are now actually learning how to save, how to do credit. It started with a few women. And then when the men actually noticed the impact that it has on their wives, they already started joining the clubs, and then even formed a new club just for the men. And then what was surprising is that we already empowered women just by teaching them financial literacy, because right now they are actually sharing that they are proud of themselves because they can now pay the tuition fee or the enrollment for their kids, or they can already put some funds on their capital for their own enterprises. So things like that, we have already noted impacts like that. And then also, though the project is actually targeting to increase participation of women and of course leadership, we are not taking aside the role of men in this development. Because right now, even though we are actually promoting and encouraging the participation of women, they are actually together in the development. They are partners for development. So while empowering women, we are already empowering men to empower their wives, their daughters, because right now they're already being participant of our main components of the projects. And then that is a very fulfilling impact that the project is actually doing within the project area. And then another thing is that when you were watching the video earlier, we were actually very proud because those women who were actually being involved in another strategy that the project is adopting, which is the ACO-based business school with gender and climate change perspective. This is actually where men and women attend like a school or a series of curriculum where we teach them on how to develop their enterprises. We even teach them how to improve their products. And then she was actually sharing that before she doesn't have any source of income, but right now she can actually provide for some of the things that the family is actually spending on. So those are the things that actually made the project proud of the activities and the interventions that we have done.
Thank you so much. What you said is so important because it continued to convey the message that when we do work, and I like what Salma mentioned at the beginning, that it's really a partnership, right? When we look at going into investing in the rural communities, the people that we are working with and for are partners in the implementation of the project. And so yes, although we talk about gender equality and women's empowerment, it is truly a partnership with all the members of the households. And that's when we see that it's a partnership between men and women. And so adopting that language is important because then the men do not need to feel threatened when we talk about women's empowerment, because it's truly a partnership whereby everybody benefits. And I like the way you said this, and I think it was also something that Musa has mentioned earlier in his intervention. What I would like to do is also to invite Tunisia actually to talk about, parler un peu des effets que le projet a eu spécifiquement, et aussi de permettre de mettre en exergue le rôle qui aurait pu être joué par les hommes dans le projet pour atteindre ces effets qui sont parlants, en particulier quand on parle de l'égalité des sexes et de l'autonomisation des femmes. À vous, s'il vous plaît.
Les effets majeurs du programme genre au sein de Prodifil. Le premier effet, le projet a favorisé des actions permettant l'autonomisation financière de femmes et leurs familles. On a plus de 500 femmes et ont bénéficié des micro-projets. Exemple pour l'élevage avicole, et selon l'enquête des effets réalisés par le projet, on a 69% de bénéficiaires voient une augmentation de 40% de leurs revenus. Aussi, pour les bénéficiaires des serres, 40% ont assuré leur complète autonomie financière. Le deuxième effet, le projet a permis aux femmes d'accéder au pouvoir de décision dans les organisations de base, au même titre que les hommes. Lors de création de groupements de développement agricole et sous l'impulsion de projets, la participation des femmes au poste de décision est exigée. Troisièmement, le projet a permis aux femmes de participer activement à la préparation du plan de développement participatif et le plan d'action filière. De ces faits, ils ont défendu et négocié publiquement leur vision et leur ambition. Quatrième effet, le projet a conduit des actions qui réduisent la pénibilité de charge de travail de femmes à travers l'accès à l'eau potable, l'aménagement des pistes et la création de bâtiments d'élevage avicole adaptés. En effet, on a 1500 femmes de la communauté de Sidi Makhlouf qui se déplacent quotidiennement pour la collecte de palourdes. La route aménagée par le projet portant sur 8 km permet de gagner du temps et de transport de 40 minutes et de réduire les risques d'accident. Aussi, le projet a favorisé du changement profond dans les attitudes et les normes sociales par l'adoption d'activités strictement masculines par les femmes, exemple l'élevage de dromadaires, ou la participation active et sans contrainte de femmes dans le foire national et des événements locaux et nationaux, chose autrefois inacceptable. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. So then I would also like to invite Ms. Rosa Rugama to actually also give her perspective on, what were some of the surprising outcomes that were not expected while implementing the projects. Over to you.
Sí, muchas gracias. Para comenzar, queremos decir que el proyecto Nica Vida ha aportado en la parte del empoderamiento económico y el empoderamiento político. Parte de estos efectos del empoderamiento económico tiene que ver con la promoción de la participación de las mujeres en todas las actividades que el proyecto Nica Vida realiza, desde las asambleas comunitarias, reuniones, identificación, focalización de demandas y necesidades propias de las mujeres, que ya en acuerdo con sus familias, con sus esposos, participan de manera equitativa y comparten tareas también del hogar para participar y poder tener acceso a lo que son los recursos del proyecto Nica Vida. En el caso del empoderamiento económico también podemos hablar del acceso a la realización de emprendimientos económicos a través de planes familiares que les permiten producción de alimentos a través del establecimiento de sistemas de producción en sus áreas de patio, en sus parcelas, en la agregación de valor de los productos que realizan y en la comercialización de sus productos para generar ingresos para ellas y su familia. En la parte del empoderamiento político tenemos efectos también muy importantes. Es así que más de las familias con las cuales estamos trabajando ahorita están organizadas en asociaciones locales donde participan de manera equitativa las mujeres y los hombres, tanto jóvenes como adultos, ¿verdad? Siendo mayormente la participación de las mujeres. Participan en estas organizaciones locales y también asumen espacios de toma de decisiones siendo miembros de juntas directivas, de las asociaciones, de los comités de agua potable y saneamiento, de los consejos comunitarios, de los consejos escolares, que les permiten tener voz, participación, liderazgo y beneficio para poder desarrollar todas las actividades que se vienen implementando. Y también es importante destacar que se está contribuyendo en el avance hacia la concienciación de las familias para compartir las tareas domésticas e ir incidiendo en bajar la carga de las tareas domésticas en las mujeres. Es importante que desde los enfoques que promueve nuestro Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional, con el Ministerio de Economía Familiar, el MEFCA, y las particularidades del proyecto con su estrategia de género, juventud y pueblos indígenas, se está promoviendo e incidiendo para compartir las tareas domésticas, para que hayan acuerdos en la familia, para que haya comunicación, para que haya consenso y participen. Es importante destacar que la focalización de las acciones va dirigida de manera prioritaria hacia las mujeres y lógicamente que participan los hombres y los jóvenes, ¿verdad? Y aquí es una cuestión de establecer consenso en la familia, comunicación, tomar acuerdos para participar. Y hay una serie de actividades que también se realizan que tienen que ver con que, aparte de establecer una estrategia, hay que asignar recursos, tanto financieros como humanos, que son los que están al frente promoviendo y fundamentalmente contar con la buena disposición de las familias rurales y en particular de las mujeres rurales para salir adelante en esta estrategia de gobierno que va en línea también con las políticas de género del FIDA, tanto para el empoderamiento económico como para el empoderamiento político, para combatir la pobreza y alcanzar la equidad de género y este empoderamiento que estamos trabajando de manera conjunta para las mujeres rurales de todos los países, particularmente de Nicaragua.
Thank you so much. And so since you have the mic, I would like to ask you, but very briefly, if you can tell us, one or two key lessons that have been learned with the implementation of the project. Very briefly, one or two key lessons, please. Over to you.
Sí, con mucho gusto. Una de las principales lecciones es precisamente que el contar con políticas y estrategias de Estado y de gobierno, como en el caso de Nicaragua, con las políticas impulsadas por el Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional, y el contar con un marco jurídico regulatorio, permite que todos los procesos de desarrollo de las familias rurales y particularmente de las mujeres tengan un fundamento jurídico. Por ejemplo, en Nicaragua tenemos la ley 648, que es la ley de igualdad de derechos y oportunidades para mujeres y para hombres. Y también tenemos nuestra Carta Magna, que es la Constitución Política de Nicaragua, que establece la igualdad entre mujeres y entre hombres. Esa es una lección muy importante. Segundo, el contar con estrategias específicas de cada proyecto que permitan analizar el contexto en las cuales se encuentran las familias con las cuales cada proyecto va a trabajar. Es muy importante, entonces, las políticas, tanto de gobierno como las que trabajamos con el FIDA, que van alineados, tienen que tener una concreción en algo más práctico. Y es ahí donde entra en juego una estrategia de género, juventud y pueblos indígenas, en el caso del proyecto Nicavida, en el caso del Ministerio de Economía Familiar que estamos haciendo en Nicaragua. Puedo mencionarle una tercera.
Thank you very much.
Una tercera lección. Y es que
yes, okay. Please, go ahead.
Okay. Disculpe. Y una tercera, son varias, ¿verdad? Lecciones que traemos porque son procesos sociales, son procesos de desarrollo que vamos caminando juntas y juntos. Una tercera es que pueden haber políticas, estrategias, lineamientos, pero si no hay asignación de recursos financieros, humanos, materiales, didácticos, metodológicos, se puede quedar en papel una política y una estrategia. En nuestro caso, tanto las políticas de gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional las políticas de Estado, nuestro Ministerio de Economía Familiar y de manera muy particular el proyecto de Única Vida asigna esos recursos para poder promover estas acciones de equidad de género y empoderamiento de la mujer. Y por otro lado también es muy importante seguir avanzando en la sensibilización para trabajar con enfoque de género desde los equipos de los proyectos, tanto a nivel central como en los territorios y sobre todo con las familias rurales.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Servagama. Thank you, very comprehensive. I would like to invite Joyce also. And if I may ask you, Joyce, to be brief and to the point, in less than a minute, some, two key messages that, or lessons actually, that you would like to share. Over to you.
Thank you. One of the key messages that I would like to share is that for gender mainstreaming to be effective, it has to be integrated in the entire project process and have a budget line to ensure that the issues of gender become as critical as any other implementation of the activity. The other issue is that for gender mainstreaming to be really effective, it's imperative that discussions are done with all members of the community, regardless of their social status, because they're the gatekeepers and they're the ones who can make decisions. Therefore, once they are able to understand the issues and how they affect them, they embrace them well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. And you were under time, so well done. Joy, under 1 minute, please. Key messages, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Indaya. So based on the project's experience for the past 5 years.
The sound is not very good. Could you please increase the volume, please, Joy? Over.
Okay, how about this time? Is it better?
Perfect. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so based on the project's experience for the past 5 years of implementation, the project's preparatory activities are actually a vital part of the intervention. So having said that, it is important that the project conduct a thorough assessment of what the community needs before providing any intervention. So in order for a particular intervention to be adopted by the community development worker has to understand the community's ways, norms, issues, and gaps. It is not a one-size-fits-all intervention. And then, which brings me to my next point, which is the community must be a part or partner of the project planning and implementation. We cannot say that we are there to provide projects or interventions and just give it to the community. This will not be sustainable. So in order for an intervention to have an impact, this has to be participated and accepted by everyone. This may take a longer process, but if done right, we can make it work towards progress. This is also a part.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you. We still have two other ones to come in, so my apologies.
Okay,
but then
no worries.
Briefly, Mali, à vous, s'il vous plaît, de façon très, très brève. 30 secondes, s'il vous plaît. 30 secondes. Allez-y.
Je vais signaler 3 messages. Le premier, c'est le renforcement des compétences permet d'augmenter la confiance en soi des femmes, améliore leur connaissance et donc la meilleure gestion de leurs projets. Et finalement, l'amélioration des revenus et des conditions de vie de la famille. Ainsi, les femmes relèvent leur statut social et améliorent leur pouvoir de dialogue et d'insertion dans le tissu économique local. Le deuxième point, c'est la participation de femmes au même titre que les hommes dans la préparation de plans de développement participatif et de plans d'action filière. C'est d'intégrer les femmes dès le démarrage du projet. Le troisième point, c'est la discrimination positive dans l'allocation de financement du microprojet. D'après notre expérience, les femmes réussissent et préservent mieux leurs projets que les hommes.
Thank you so much. Merci. Merci.
Merci.
Merci, merci Mali. Moussa, s'il vous plaît. I'm sorry, now I don't know if I'm speaking French and English. Trying to keep in time. Moussa, please, 30 seconds, over to you.
Number one, if you want to have the women effectively participate in a project and get the benefits, we encourage you form women-only groups. In women-only groups, the women come out freely, they express themselves there, they understand themselves better than when they are mixed with men. So they get socialized among themselves better than when they are mixed with men. So it is advisable you form women-only groups if you want to have the women actively participate and benefit. Number two, I will advise that the use of the girls methodology, it should be introduced at the early stage of any project so that we found out that it's a tool that you can use to quickly enhance gender equality and participation across board. And this, you try to sensitize everybody, get it across board, national rulers, religious leaders, and particularly sensitize men to be able to understand the need to have their women empowered. Once you get the buy-in of the men, you are done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Excellencies, Member State Representative, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, this is all the time that we have for the discussion. I would like to take a moment to thank all of our guests, the audience, as well as the organizers for providing the platform to recognize the outstanding achievements of selected IFAD projects on International Rural Women's Day. It's been a pleasure. Now I would like to invite Mr. Goki Wu, the Senior Management, the Associate Vice President for Corporate Services Department, for his closing remarks. Mr. Wu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ndaya. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to join you in this great ceremony as the IFAD Gender Champion. Today, on International Day of Rural Women and Girls, we are celebrating the IFAD Gender Awards winners, representing powerful examples of how IFAD supported projects to promote gender equality, women's and girls' empowerment, and the fulfillment of their human rights in rural areas. As we have heard from colleagues working on the projects awarded today, rural women and girls are not bystanders. They have valuable knowledge and expertise, and they are powerful agents of change. They manage natural resources, adopt climate-resilient agricultural approaches, and preserve biodiversity and agriculture productivity. Women normally have a better understanding of the nutritional and cultural needs of their family and community. An empowered woman can influence the extent to which resources, specifically food, are allocated in the household, benefiting the health and nutrition of the entire family. Experiences from the fish coral in the Philippines and the VCDP in Nigeria showed that with better access to markets and more attention to gender-sensitive and inclusive value chains, rural women can take on new roles in profitable value chains and benefit from new income generation opportunities. This can allow them to gain new skills, further invest in their businesses, become advocates for themselves and others, improve nutritional outcome in their households, and significantly contribute to the overall well-being of their families. We have also heard that amplifying rural women's voice and decision-making power is a smart business decision. Women's significant contribution to and strong leadership in agriculture, and especially in producers' organizations, are critical for increasing the productivity of smallholder farmers and food system in general. There is ample evidence showing that when women are empowered and have the same access to productive and financial assets and services, agricultural growth is enhanced, and a significant reduction in the number of poor and hungry people is achieved. The Natural Resources Management Project in Kenya is a prime example of that, with the redistribution of land for greater fairness between women and men. Experience shared by Nika Veda in Nicaragua showed that systemic changes are possible when a supportive policy environment is in place. Prodefil in Tunisia demonstrated that through better access to finance, women can be more economically active, and as a result, nearly 800 new businesses started, helping to pull their families out of poverty. Engaging with men is essential to include gender considerations in all aspects of project implementation, empower women, and achieve sustainable transformative change. We have seen that the mindsets and behaviors of all have to undergo a significant transformation process in order to foster new norms that promote and sustain gender equality. Beyond today's celebrations, we believe that the projects from Kenya, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Philippines, and Tunisia represent all the development champions who worldwide are committed to and invest in gender equality and women's and girls' empowerment, so as to ensure equitable, inclusive, and sustainable rural communities and food systems. For IFAD and the rural people we work with and for, these approaches hold the key to a brighter and more equitable future for all. I sincerely hope that these examples will inspire others globally. Indeed, I was not only deeply impressed, but also touched by these projects, as they reminded me of my own personal experience and childhood in particular. I grew up in a rural Chinese family and witnessed firsthand the critical role of rural women. My mom was illiterate, like many women of her generation, and I will never forget how she struggled to make ends meet. It was thanks to the rural policy changes and investments made in the late 1970s and onwards that rural women in China, like my mom, were able to find the means to provide food and education for their children and ultimately break the cycle of poverty. I myself am a living proof of the effectiveness of such policy changes and continuous investment, including the valuable support from multilateral and bilateral donor communities, and of the pivotal role rural women have in the fight against poverty. Therefore, I'm a firm believer in the role that rural women can play in poverty reduction, and that ending rural poverty is not a utopia, but definitely attainable. Let me conclude by saying that while we celebrate today such great achievements, much more remains to be done to ensure gender equality and women's empowerment in all projects, in all rural communities, to put an end to rural poverty. Today, I challenge all of us to commit individually and collectively in our day-to-day work to do our best to make this a reality. We owe this to the rural women and men we work with and for. Finally, allow me to express again on behalf of IFAD our collective appreciation to the winning projects for their outstanding work. Thank you, and back to Andaya, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wu, for your inspiring remarks, for sharing your personal story. So now if people had questions, they really understand why you are IFAD Gender Champion. You have also pushed us again to continue the calling and to continue to push for action. Thank you so much for these words. Excellency, Member State Representative, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues, I want to thank you for your time, and I wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe.